following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL, there's Willie Mason.
That's forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
Welcome to episode number 11 of The Take with Willie and Ian. And you know what? The king of producing Zig, he's going away next week. We've got Henry sitting in the chair and the pressure's already got to him because he hasn't changed episode 10 to episode 11. If this is where this is going already, amateur hour.
How are you going to deal with this by yourself next week?
We might not. Next week could be anything. But
We'll just go by Zoom.
Zig's got his wedding anniversary, so congratulations, Zig, next week. But I had mine. I'm alive too.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Way
actually...
better, hey? Way better?
I am a lot better. I was almost dead last week. But I tell you what, we've been doing this for a while and we have a lot of fun doing it. But I must say there's been a lot of people that have actually reached out on social media and stuff and asked how I was, which is actually really nice.
Really?
So Luke and Paddy and a few others, thank you very much for your concern. That's it's lovely of you. It really does mean a lot. But I'm better. I am better. Do I look better?
You do. Way better. Last week was...
It was a corpse.
It was a struggle for you. I don't think people realise when, as soon as we finish, you're like, fuck.
Straight to bed.
Get out, everyone.
I think I managed to, I thought I wasn't coughing either, and then I actually had to listen to it again. I coughed about 600 times, but I was very discreet.
Very discreet.
I'm like stealth.
Yes.
How are you, William?
I'm good, mate. I just come from the Deadly Choices launch. I'm an ambassador for those guys. So, Freddie was there, Luke Lewis, Rennie Matua, Jamie Sowd, a couple of young WNRL girls. It was good. Still, Steve Reynolds, the Pearl, was there. So just to get things really like officially kicked off, it was good. So, it was good. Just talking about obviously what we're going to do this year, and Dave Trodden was there, the CEOs, and it was very proper. But yeah, we'll start doing some really good work in the next week or two.
It really is such a wonderful cause too. So if you don't know much about it, then look it up and see what amazing job they do just in those communities and going out to people.
And I think some of the questions were like today, like what do you get out of Deadly Choices? And I think we live such a blessed life here. We live in the eastern suburbs, and you don't really see how the other side lives. So it gives you more gratitude for what you really have, because when you go out to like Wilcannia, Broken Hill, and out into these Indigenous communities, it's like, how's this even possible? This is Australia, like how are people living like this? And just to go out there and share the message of Deadly Choices is just making better choices in life, alcohol consumption, smoking, eating the wrong foods, and you're so surprised about how little people actually know about what sort of foods to eat. So when you're going out there, you think that everybody knows what decent foods are, until you ask those questions. They're like, no, what do you have for lunch or dinner? And packet of chips here, and juice here. There's so much sugar and all this kind of stuff. So when you go out there, try and educate a lot of these young kids and the elders as well, so the elders can educate the younger kids, and then it's going to be a ripple effect for the next generation. So it's just all about education and awareness. And just, I don't think globally we're not going to change the whole world, but I mean, if we go out there and just say if we're out there and you see 1,000 kids all year, and you change like two people's minds, and whether it be they want to be a football player or a nurse, a doctor, a scientist, AFL player, whatever it is, then you've done your job. You feel like you've done something. So a lot of they got some really good people there. Freddie does a lot of really good work. A lot of the guys like Christian Heffernan, who's the guy who runs everything, they do such a good job, man. And it's such a great thing to do. Like I just love going out there and just educating young kids.
Yeah, and sport has always traditionally been a really good way to change
rugby league's
lives.
Our platform, but we're not out there trying to get the next Jonathan Thurston.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We're just trying to educate these younger kids on healthier lifestyles. So it seems to be working. It's all about health checks, 715 health checks. I think from last year to this year, there's been 15,000 more health checks, so it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So obviously what we're doing is working.
Well done, Will. Good stuff. So that's the happy part of the show. I think the reality of, I guess, the news cycle over the last few days, it's been dominated obviously by what's going on at Canterbury Bankstown, and obviously you're not only do you have a deep affinity for the club because of what you did at that club, you're actually back there now in a professional capacity. And so it's a really, really sad time for the club that you love, Will. And I think people out there will probably understand that we need to be a little bit sensitive about the way that we deal with this topic, especially because of, I guess it's so raw still, and there's still a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. But I guess from your perspective, Will, if we look at the club and where it's at, and forgetting about the change of coach and all of the stuff, what is it that Canterbury need to do to get back to where we all know they could be?
I think this stems back to the era of like Des Hasler, where he got given everything. So he didn't really worry about the development of the younger kids. And I think Dean Pay copped that, and I think Trent Barrett has, because all they cared about was winning, and they got everything given to him, all the players, and he was close. He got them to 2 grand finals. He was successful. I'm not saying it was a bad thing that he did, but they forgot about the development and what that club was based on. You have a look at that, the 2004 team and that era that we went through. The only people that we bought was Luke Patton. He was 20. Mark O'Mealy was 20. Willie Tonga was 20. Bobcat was 22. Everyone else was either bought as a young up-and-coming junior like myself, Sonny Bill, Roy Asatasi, Jonathan Thurston, Ben Harris. Then you had local juniors like Brent Sherwin, Corey Hughes, Tony Grimaldi, like Steve Price was brought down as a 17-year-old. You know what I mean? So they developed younger players, but they had local juniors as well. So that's what they really lent on. Like the guys like us coming up, like I was bought when I was 17. Like they just went out there and developed these younger kids. That it's all about development, and they forgot about that for about nearly 10 years. So we haven't developed any young juniors.
Yeah.
We've sort of tried to buy, lost the culture of the club, because when you have kids like me come up through that system, you earn every single thing you get. And you love, and as soon as you get that first grade jersey, you want to die for that club. You understand, you're indoctrinated into that system, the culture, how hard you train, how like what you're expected to be as a Bulldog. Like it's all about hard work, playing for your mate, all these little things that we all knew coming through the system, because it was the history of the club, everything, the Dogs of War, all that sort of stuff is like embedded into you. So when you do come up through the system, by the time you get to first grade, you will die for that club. It's like Penrith now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, there's not one local junior in that Bulldogs team at the moment. Is there, if you go through that whole team?
Yeah, that's right.
There's no real, they've all been bought. So I know Gus has a 5-year plan. So a lot of coaches, a lot of the supporters need to be patient. And I understand, because they got told this 18 months ago. Be patient. We got Vaughan, we got Fox, we've got all these other players, and I'm still standing here going, I don't know if that fixed the problem.
Well, let's look at it, because the recruitment, I think you've got to be realistic about. Just because you buy a lot of players doesn't mean that you've bought players in the right position. It doesn't mean that those players are specifically going to fit in with what a club needs to be better. And if you look at the specifics, I feel like there was a huge amount of pressure that's been put on the Bulldogs to go well this year, because they brought a number of players in. Now, if you look at the players that they brought in, they're not exactly key position players. Burton's playing 5'8". Now, Burton played 5'8" as a junior, and then last year in his breakout season, he played in the centres, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a kid and you bring him across and you say, all right, well, you've played centres for 12 months in first grade. Now we want you to run this side around the park. Then you've got Matt Dufty, who, I'm not saying Matt Duffy's not a great footballer. He's a good footballer, but he's had some issues in the past. He's been in and out of first grade sides, and they got him at a cut price deal, terrific. And they sort of thought, well, let's see if we can get the best out of him. Now, they haven't got the best out of him because they're not the sort of club that can. It's not a Melbourne system. They're a rebuilding side.
Yeah.
You've got Pangai, who on his day is one of the most damaging. You're not going to fault Pangai at all, right? You got Addo Carr, who's been their best buy by far and away from.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's a winger. And if their forwards aren't doing the job through the middle, what's a winger going to do? He can take second carries. He can keep the energy levels up, but he's not going to score 50 tries like he did at the Storm. So I think that the reality of the recruitment pressure has put an extra layer on top of the pressure that coaches already feel, because I think people bought that dream that, they've bought better players, they're going to be better. It takes time, Will.
It does take time. You hit the nail on the head right there. Like, I think personally, all we did buy was Fox, Burton, and Pangai. Everyone else was a bargain buy. Vaughan wasn't wanted at St George. Naden wasn't wanted at Penrith. Dufty wasn't wanted. Corey Allen, Braden Burns, all these sort of blokes that, were decent first graders, but at different levels, at different parts of their career. You know what I mean? It's like, and Melbourne have this culture where if you don't fit into that culture, they're not going to buy you. And that takes time to set. We were sort of maybe in a rush to sort of buy more, players that have played a lot of first grade, existing stars, that maybe they're a little bit past their prime, and hopefully they could have gelled. I wish they had gelled, because on paper they should not be coming last. They're a decent side. Baz is a good coach. And it just didn't happen, they didn't expect us to be coming last right now. Expected to be like, at least in the top 8, pushing for a top 8 spot. Not, what are we? We're 2-8.
Yeah.
So they made a change with Baz. I'm good friends with Baz. I've reached out to him, and he got put in a corner pretty much, and he just like, you know what? Fuck, he would have been so stressed out. And he's just like, no, fucking enough. I'm done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, he just would have been going, is it worth it?
And that is the thing, Will. People don't quite understand the level of pressure that comes with this sort of thing where, you buy a paper and your head's on the back thing saying, when are you going to get sacked? You got mortgages. People, you turn on the TV and Channel 9 News is running with, when will Trent Barrett get sacked? Like, the level of pressure that comes in, even if you try and switch off from it and people go, you shouldn't read the papers. But at the end of the day, like, your mates are still going to say to you, mate, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, there's no getting away from a high-profile job like that. And unfortunately, Phil Gould creates so many positive things for football club, but he also, for whatever reason, brings negative publicity wherever he goes. So there are people with agendas.
People have an agenda. If you watch 360, they're always having a crack at Gus. And Gus honestly does not give a shit about what anyone else says. That's why they keep having a crack at him. He doesn't care what, like, Paul Kent and Steve Crawley. Is it Steve Crawley? Paul Crawley, all those sort of blokes, and they always seem to have a crack at him. He doesn't care. Like, all he cares about is getting this club back on its feet. And he said at the start it's a 5-year plan.
Which is what had happened at Penrith.
People don't understand.
Building that centre of excellence.
The amount of work that Baz put in, 60 hours a week. It's not like he's just rolling up to games and just thinking, good luck. Like, he's given these kids everything. When does the accountability go to the players? I know a lot of those players are feeling like absolute shit because they feel responsible for it.
Blokes like Josh Jackson, and
like guys like who are the heart and soul of the teams, and they feel a little bit of responsibility, because I think most players should cop accountability when the coach gets sacked, because you're the one. He's just given you every bit of his knowledge, and you don't go out there and implement the game plan or play with passion or intensity like a Bulldog is supposed to. You can't coach that. How much intensity you play with, how much passion you have for that club and the jersey and everything that's supposed to be embedded into you. He can't coach that. All he can do is give you a game plan, and you got to go out there and implement it. And it just wasn't happening. They just weren't. They just don't do it. They just weren't doing it. So a lot of those players they'll be feeling like shit, because they're in control of that 80 minutes. Baz can't do everything, and then you see guys like Naden leaving.
Well, let's go to that for a sec.
How quick can you leave? Like it must have been already done.
Because I look at that, and obviously, again, it's challenging for you.
Like, what was his quote? I come there to play for Trent Barrett. Like, you had fucking 10 games.
Yeah.
Rip in for 10 games. That doesn't seem like you did for 10 games.
It seems to me like he's come out and he's used the I want to play centres, but he was lucky to get picked on the wing, to be honest. Like, if you look at the way that he's played, and I think if you go back to this recruitment thing again, okay, you want to play for Trent Barrett. Now, don't tell me that a bloke that's bought into the Bulldogs culture, a bloke who has been given a lifeline essentially after what happened with the grand final, if he's then in a position when the first sign of trouble, he's jumping off to try and improve his ability to be able to play in the centres, well, then he's a wrong buy.
Obviously, it proves that he was the wrong buy.
He's a wrong buy.
He's not, and that's where it comes. Recruitment is very, very important, and that's why I'm saying, like, Gus has bought, he's hired more employees like that are all about development. Scouting the right kids, scouting the best young junior in Australia who's coming through the system. Grab him.
Yeah.
Develop that young kid, the 16, 17-year-old, the 17, 18-year-old. Get those kids, recruit those kids, and then develop them into first graders. That's where they're going, because they haven't been doing this for ages.
And they're going well in the juniors, aren't they? Like, they're flagging their juniors, mats and things are going well. You're involved in the pathways. That's what I'm saying. Like if you get the best schoolboy, if you get like the best schoolboy half or back row or front row, the work that we'll put into these young kids will be ridiculous, because Gus is he's obviously brought me back for that reason. Rennie Matua's back there, and a lot of other players are starting to come back just because we want to develop these young kids. And we know that Bulldog way. We know how hard it is to be a first grader. We know how hard it is to get in the first grade, in that club. We know what the culture is about. So that's where we're going with development. And Gus is ahead of that. Like, he's got some absolute freaks in development. But I even had to ask him at the start, I said, who's in charge of our development? Do we have like guys like Mark Hughes and all these sort of blokes when I was there going all the way out in the country and scouting in New Zealand and this and that? Like, he was like, no. I said, well, he goes, we have to get back to that. Yeah.
And we have to get back to getting the best juniors and getting them, enticing them to come to our club. That's what's hard.
And it's like, I always look at, because anyone who thinks that rugby league's not a business, if you don't think that it's a $1 billion industry, right? So these clubs, they run themselves the way any corporation. So if you have a job and you work for a big company, whether it's Apple or whether it's whatever, it's the same concept, right? You base yourself around results. And if you look at...
It is, exactly. It's a result-driven sport, and we aren't delivering the results. Off the field, the club could not be in a better position. John Curry, who's the chairman, is an absolute legend. He does so much for the club, loves the club. Aaron Warburton, the CEO, is such a proactive CEO. He's all about the current players and the players of the past, and so is John Curry. They're trying to get everybody back involved in the club at some sort of capacity. And I think I think PK last night, Paul Kent was saying that, like John Curry's this, like trying to like sort of badmouth him a little bit and saying Aaron Warburton's too young. Like, how old do you have to be to be a CEO? What, do you have to be 60, old and miserable, and not look at the game proactive?
If you're good enough, you're old enough.
If you're good enough, you're old enough. So he is really good enough. He's good enough. Like, both those guys are unreal at what they do. Sponsorships, everything like that. Everything about the club is going forward off the field, but it's a result-driven business.
Yeah.
Wins and losses, and we're not in that winning. There's no more. The wins are like 2.
Yeah.
So like. We just need to get back to winning, need to get back to playing the way that we play. And as I said, like, I'm not sure what's going to happen for the rest of the year. They need to have a siege mentality. They need to galvanise together. Mick Potter needs to get these guys just to have this siege mentality. They've gone through some shit. Now, if this doesn't galvanise you, like, I'm not sure what will. Because these kids, like, they barely even know each other. Now you've just got your coach sacked. Like, if you don't band together now and galvanise and finish this fucking year off good, mate, half that squad's going to be gone.
Yeah.
They will be gone. If this is not the catalyst for you to get together and just play like a bunch of Bulldogs and play for each other, then nothing will work.
And Mick Potter's got that Bulldog in him as well, which means, he did a good job. He got treated appallingly by West Tigers, I reckon. Look, from my perspective as well, if I look at, the best thing that could have happened to Canterbury really is blokes like Brent Naden leaving the club, because what you want is you want to build from the ground up again. So, I think if you look at – I don't like looking at next year because, these blokes have – the people that are involved in the club, not just the players but the staff and the people that have been long-term members and those full rusted on fans, they expect – to see something for the rest of this year, So you can't talk about next year.
Let's not write the whole year off.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah.
What is there, like 16 more games? Like you can go on a bit of a run, hit some momentum, and then like jag like 4 or 5 games and you're in the 8. Like this is what could happen if they do galvanise and just take this personally, have a siege mentality, it's us against you guys. The media, everybody included, apart from the 17 blokes that hit the field, have that mentality, be driven from the coach, be driven from all the players, get out there and just rip in as hard as you can, because they still have the talent to be a top 8 side. Like easily. Like I just don't think the year's gone. Like no. I know they've had a shit start to the year, but they can still catch some fire and end the year strong. I'm not writing them off yet.
Yeah. And I think if you are a Bulldog supporter, what I would say is that I've seen William's been involved with the club now for less than 6 months, and the amount of time and effort that he has put into this, and the amount of time and effort that good people are putting in behind the scenes, I have no doubt in my mind at all that Canterbury will rise again and they will be a force again. So just I know it's hard to be patient when you're not winning, but at the end of the day, that's all you've got.
They've got great people.
All you've got is hope.
Great people in the club. They have great people in the club, at players and at admin, all that kind of stuff. So it's just, they'll get something out of it. They'll salvage this year. They will.
Well, let's talk Magic Round. You actually went up to Magic Round this year. Look, I guess I find the whole thing a bit weird, like playing the whole. I don't really get the concept of why you've got all the games at one ground. I don't understand it. It seems to work all right though. Like they get big crowds and
well, they just copied off like Super League. Remember, Super League used to do Magic Round. When I was there in 2016, I think they still have it. They just got every single club. We played in Newcastle and they were getting massive crowds. So the NRL pretty much just copy and pasted it and just owned it. Like they created it.
Like they made it.
But they didn't. They just stole it from Super League. But have a look at the crowds up there, like 44,000 people, just like people everywhere in Brisbane. I didn't leave the hotel because it was just crazy. And lucky it was raining because like I think if it's like a beautiful day like this down up there, it would have been packed. It would have been crazy. And they still turned up.
I think they got 130,000 over 3 days. But do people do they come and watch their team and then leave, or do they come and watch all?
Sort of, because by the end of it, I think the first game I went to was the Bulldogs and Knights, and then the next game was Brisbane and Manly. So by the end of that game, it was about, I think it was probably like just say 15,000, the Newcastle and Bulldogs game. Then by the end of it was like about 40,000.
Yeah.
So and that sort of happened because they kept doubling up the teams and like. I think the Super Saturday was pretty good, 3 games. They ended up getting like 40-something by the end of it. Yeah. And then Sunday was another great day. So the football was pretty good. It held up. The ground held up good. I thought it was going to be an absolute mess.
Especially given the rain too.
Sunday would have been an awful day to play. It was humid as hell.
Yeah.
And it was sunny and it was just that, like the ground still would have been sloppy. But, the football was good.
Do you reckon, I mean, you were over for, remember the Auckland Nines back in the day? Do you reckon, I feel like they should give Auckland a crack at it one, just because they've had no footy over there for so long. And the Nines, they did it pretty well, didn't they?
Nines was unreal. That was for 2 days. They packed out Eden Park. It was like 50,000 a day.
Yeah.
To watch Nines. And like I think I think that's still a great concept.
Yeah.
It's something that they should look at a lot more because it's a lot more entertaining. Like there was tries scored out there. I remember remember Sean Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
He's done some
good at-
shit.
he's
Done
good
some
for
stuff.
Knights.
I think Kalen Ponga played in 2015 or 16, but like they were outstanding players like that. Tuivasa-Sheck and all these guys, they were magnificent. It was just a great spectacle. But then the NRL took it off him, took it off the guys that were running it because they wanted more money, and they fucking ruined it.
Yeah, not unusual.
Yeah.
You had a bit of wrestle with Leslie too from me.
Yeah, it was a big wrestle. That was the halftime entertainment. Me and my brother wrestling.
Greco-Roman
Yeah,
wrestling.
it was like two big silverbacks going at it.
One thing.
I won. I won, Liz.
No, he did, please. I reckon the one thing that I've noticed as well is that, like, if they were going for 3, there was that whole big ugly incident in the crowd again where those blokes were getting a stink in, and
Why would you fight when you're on the lower tier too?
Don't punch up.
Have some brain.
Don't ever punch
Have some
up.
brains. Like, what are you doing? Like, just go, hey, wait, and then just maybe
Walk around to get a drink.
Walk around 2 up from him, and then
And
just
then
start pounding.
and
Have some
straight off the top
He's
rope.
sitting there going like that. I'm like, what are you doing? The guy's got the high ground. You're going to lose, son.
He got dealt with.
He got smacked.
So is that because people were at the ground? So let's be honest, if you go to the cricket, I'm not encouraging drinking at all. No one, everyone should gamble and drink responsibly.
So you're trying to say were they full of piss?
Blind.
Yes.
Blind.
They're at the pubs all day.
Yeah.
Then let's go to the footy.
Because when you go to a game of footy, you got 40 minutes at halftime. Like you got 40 minutes. You power drink.
But
You're
every pub during the day was packed.
was packed.
So what do you think? They thought it was an Origin every game.
Yeah.
You know, so they're sitting in pubs at 11 o'clock. Then you get to the footy, like just say the earliest game would be, just say Super Saturday, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4. But on the Friday, it was the Dogs and that. Like they were up there, like I got up there about 1 or 2 o'clock when I was sitting at the bar in at freaking the airport. It was packed. And they were starting from there.
Yeah.
And I was at the airport at 12 o'clock, all going to Magic Round. So it's just like, they had a good time. That was the only little scuffle.
That was the
wasn't
only
it?
scuffle, I think.
That was
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh, no,
That's
there was a one with Jackson Hastings, which is a bit weird, where
What they blokes say?
Derek said he was going to kill his sisters or something, and I think he's got younger. Like,
Oh my God.
what is wrong with
Who
people?
would say that?
I don't know. What possesses someone? Like, remember the old days that chewy on your boot, or they'd scream out something like that.
Is that what he
bloke,
said?
I want to kill your sisters. Okay, and he named them by name, so he's like some sort
I
of
don't-
mad stalk.
He handled it pretty well. I think I would
jumped
have
the fence.
grabbed him by
Yeah.
the. Oh wow.
People are
Actually, my
strange.
sisters would bash the shit out. I got 5, so I go. Good luck. Good luck trying to beat my sisters up. I'll give you their number. Actually, fucking hell. But like that is so wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Like, what is it? Like, it's like a serial killer shit. You know, like
Knowing their
weirdo.
names
You
too.
can't know their names. You can't, why would you say shit like that?
Yeah.
He handled himself well, Hastings, but
He's been the best thing that's happened to the West Tigers, that bloke. I just think he has been
his
magnificent all year.
leadership, his leadership on and off the field, like he's trying so hard, isn't he?
Now, the one other thing that we should mention, the Bears, the old North Sydney Bears, they just keep getting brought up. Now the West Australian government has said, we'll take the Bears name, will become the West Australian Bears. You bring us over here.
Sounds shit.
And you'll play 10 games in Perth, 4 games at North Sydney Oval. Mate, I know your feelings about expansion, right? And that
I don't mind it. I just if it was in the 2000s when we just had a shitload of players, expand.
Can you imagine the West Australian Bears? Like the Dolphins can't sign anyone. Who are the West Australian Bears signing?
Ben Cousins.
Seasy's coming out of retirement.
Like I don't know. I honestly don't know who they're going to sign.
Yeah, it's
Like I think it's give it like maybe 4 or 5 years.
I'd love to see the Bears back in some capacity,
So
but,
would I, but
they're
like-
not going to bring them back. They're not going to bring them like West Australia. They don't care. The Reds failed. Like it's
No, they actually got a good base over there. So every time they do play over there, there's about 25,000. So they've got the supporter base over there. A lot of Kiwis are living there.
They've
They're in
lost
they're
it
in
to the Force,
mines.
to be honest. Like since the Western Force came over there, they've all those like South Africans that live there and the Kiwis, they've really embraced that Force side. So I feel like they've lost their. Go back to Adelaide Rams, bring the Rams back.
Rams were good.
The old Rams.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I get it. I'm all for expansion, but I don't want the game to be so diluted and play. You know, teams getting flogged by 60. Yeah, maybe just wait 5 more years so we can develop these younger kids, because we don't have the cattle now. We just don't.
All right. Well, the action never stops, William. It never stops with the old rugby league. So this week, what about the Broncos? I'll tell you what, the Broncos have been the feel-good story of the year. Adam Reynolds, the Broncos. It's just, I think what this proves is that the Broncos always had a lot of talented footballers, especially in their forward pack. They've got such a good young pack. And they just needed someone to drive them around. And Adam Reynolds has been that for them. I feel a bit sorry for the Knights.
So important, a good halfback, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think.
That's why they're getting paid $1 million. Like, what's Reynolds, 30, 32?
He's 47 years old.
32, but he got like over $1 million a year. That's how important it is. Like Chad Townsend hasn't played a rep game, won a grand final, a lot of experience, about 850, 900. But look at the results that you're getting.
Yeah, that's right.
It's worth it, isn't it? Like, because a halfback who can just game manage, you're not going to get your JTs and Andrew Johns and all those sort of guys anymore. You're going to get these game managers. You know, like even like Cleary. Cleary doesn't have those exploits. That doesn't break the line hardly ever. All that kind of stuff. But he manages the game good.
Yeah.
You know, Cherry Evans does still some good things. They're going to sign him on another 2-year deal. Dude's 33, 34. That's how hard it is to get a good 7. They will just still, you know, and they deserve it. But the salary cap says you deserve it. But like, you know, 32,
winning games says you deserve it too.
Winning games, you know, like Reynolds has just proved everyone wrong.
Yeah,
He looks happy. 3 more years in him.
He looks happy.
That's
like he looks. The change was good.
And that's probably why he was probably a little bit filthy. If you go, I'd sign you 1 more year. That's fucking more than 1 year in me. You know, I play halfback. Halfback is one of the most protected positions on the field. You can go the line, deep into the line. You're not going to get your ribs cracked by anyone. It's going to get a penalty, all that kind of stuff. So good on him and good on Chad Townsend.
Did you know he used to play for South, Adam Reynolds? They let him go.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Did you not? I didn't realise that either.
They've never said it.
The Tigers, do you know what? Now that Trent Barrett's gone, who are they going to sack next? Because Adam O'Brien's got to be close, hasn't he, if the Knights don't start winning?
I think that could have been the catalyst for the Knights. If we had won, it was Adam O'Brien.
He was in the Centrelink queue.
So he better be thanking Baz.
That was the Centrelink Cup. The Tigers, so Maguire's seemingly, he won a couple of games.
When a coach gets sacked, it's like 80% of that time.
Dead cat bounce.
They
come back and win.
The team wins because the coach got sacked. So there you go, the Dogs. Look at it. It's $1.90 each.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Tigers... The Tigers have fallen into that trap again of, like, everyone forgot about them for a while, and now what will happen is if they lose this game, then those coach meters will be straight back on Michael Maguire's head. Tigers are just plogging along. You know, they'll get you if you're off your game. They'll get you. Yeah. They're not going to get a top side if they're on their game. You know, they did get Parramatta, but they were way off. South were way off. You know, so. To beat a big side like the Bulldogs.
Like the Bulldogs, you're going to have to be on.
The Brent Naden Cup, this one. The Brent Naden Cup.
Imagine him playing this week. He's going to play.
Who's played the lowest amount of games for a club before going somewhere else? Aaron Woods played about 4 for Canterbury, didn't he? And then they resold him. He went off.
No, he played a whole year.
Did he play a year?
Yeah. He'd be up there, Naden.
10 games.
Yeah, not even that. I think he's only played 7.
Well, he didn't play any. Parramatta versus Manly. Manly
what happened to Manly?
Wasn't that a good game to watch if you're a Manly fan? Trbojevic was like, they're going, he's not injured. He couldn't run. How was he not injured?
Yeah.
He couldn't move.
Let him rehab. I want him fit for Origin. I don't give a shit about Manly.
I was like, they're like on, and then after the game, no, he never had a problem. He had a cork. He's got his legs strapped as if it was mummified.
Yeah.
And then he touched a ball 4 times.
I know. Eels are looking good.
The Eels, I'm going to forgive them last week. Everyone was, they're inconsistent. Everyone forgets that the Roosters are a top side. And at some point, they're going to click.
Yeah, and they did click.
And they clicked. And it's like Parramatta, they've beaten it's like Roosters are a top 4 side. If the Roosters don't finish in the top 4 at the end of this year, I'll be very surprised. Very surprised. But Parramatta, well, I think they'll beat them.
They should.
They
and this
should.
This is a rivalry game as well, so they'll be going at it.
This is where traditionally I get to sing "Here We Go Again," Manly and Para. Remember the Tui's new ad from? We're going to get that up on our social. Henry's going to find
Dragons
that.
and Warriors.
This
The
is
Warriors
a cracking
won
game.
last week.
No, they won the second half. Does that count?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
That was a worse game.
Who'd they play?
South 32-4. They were starting at half time. And
they
then
won
South
32-30?
clicked off. And then they won by 2 points. Yeah.
Fuck.
Good half, South.
Who cares? They got the win.
They got the win.
Cowboys
Cowboys,
and
Storm.
Storm.
I almost tipped the Cowboys here.
I think I did. Did I?
Um,
I don't know. No,
do you want to? You can change it. No, we both left that game out when we were checking Henry. He showed me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going the Cowboys.
You're going Cowboys? Yeah. All right.
I just think they miss Pappenhausen.
And
And
they've
even
got.
Remus Smith. Remus Smith he's a gun defender.
Yeah.
Good attacker. Great. Good hands. Like
And they've
he's,
got Brandon Smith starting at prop this week.
yeah.
So I think, if the Cowboys are ever going to beat the Storm, this is the week.
This is the one. So because I think Pappenhausen just holds so much energy in that team. He just bobs up everywhere. He can score length of the field tries. His energy's good. He's smart. His placement, everything. He's a gun.
Tyron Wishart never needs a paternity test, does he? It's literally
Wonder
like
who's
watching
his
Rocket
old man.
Just like watching Rocket Rod back in the day.
Does he have the same quads?
No one's got those quads.
No.
McDougall maybe.
Ridiculous. Yeah. McDougall.
Roosters, Panthers. I think
It's a good game.
this is a good game. How are the Roosters at $3.75? I've taken the Roosters with
This
a
is a good
start.
Super Saturday. I'm
Victor
digging
Radley,
this.
they'll miss Victor Radley. He hasn't been great this year, Victor Radley. Like, he hasn't been Victor Radley-esque, but he's been good.
Well, he would have got told. He doesn't want to get suspended. But like because it's sort of changed his game now.
That's, I agree.
He's ball playing a fair bit. He gets a fair bit of ball, but like his defense, he's had to change that. And I fucking love his defense.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that.
I don't want him. You're taking that bit out of him. That's that
Big
people
part of his
that
game.
people love.
Yeah.
Like when he hits, but he knows he's on. Hits someone, he's going to get
He's straight to
suspended.
jail.
Like I mean, I know they cleared everybody's slate, but I think he'd be still. I think he's on a fine line with him because he hits so hard, and it's like it'll be that shoulder to the head. It'll be
Straight
brutal.
away.
The Roosters
that's a
are
good
great.
game.
Jared Warrior-Hargraves,
good is
outstanding, outstanding game. 33 years old.
Anyone, I've seen criticisms for him saying, he's too old. Anyone who criticises that bloke they've got no idea about
They
rugby
just
league
fucking forget,
whatsoever.
don't
Like, he is just
He's
the
a-
leader of that pack. He'd be the first bloke picked for New Zealand. It's just, anyway, that's the joys of Twitter. I love Twitter. I actually don't mind Twitter now.
Snowflake supporters. That's what they are.
The Rabbitohs and the Raiders. Now, were the Raiders good or were Cronulla terrible? I said they should have kept Nico Hines at halfback and you went, no, playing fullback. And look what happened. I'm a genius.
Yeah, you're right. They look bad.
They look bad.
They look really bad. Cronulla. They looked all over the place. I'm not. What are they? Is the fullback back this week?
No, they've picked Lockie Miller, and that's a good story actually. Lockie Miller was an Australian Sevens player, and he signed with the Cronulla side, I think this year actually, and he's been killing it in Reggie's.
Yeah, right.
And they've moved Hines back to halfback, and
It's a different beast. It's not sevens, kid.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Very interesting.
It'll-
Hines is what, 7?
Hines is 7, yeah.
Well, that's the main thing that they missed was
They
Hines.
missed him. Yeah,
But-
he wasn't involved.
I think the Raiders were good.
So can they beat South?
Yeah, I've backed the Raiders.
It's a dubbo.
Yeah, only because it's at Dubbo.
I loved it. Well, I've got to go to state.
They love playing at Dubbo.
I'm going to Dubbo in 3 weeks for state champs for my young bloke. They got to go to Dubbo.
Can I come?
Do you want to? Apex Oval.
Not a chance.
Oh yeah, the Raiders are a chance there. Did you pick them?
Yeah, I've picked them.
Oh, I wish I had.
And I'm picking the Cowboys, so I need to come up. I need to get some points on you.
Yeah, you do. And then the Titans won a game. That was a bludger of a game. That was.
Which one did they play?
That St George game.
Yeah, fuck.
That was terrible to watch. And then the Sharks will bounce back.
Titans, eh?
Willie's Big Boys.
big boys at it again. Absolute machines. It just surprises me every single week, the amount of meterage and just time that they're playing in the middle. Like 60, I think it's like minimum like 60 plus minutes for some of these big guys now. Like I think Payne Haas, I think he played like maybe 65 minutes, something like that, like 180 metres. Like it's just and I think he had a fair bit of a rest. I don't think they played him. I don't think they played him
either.
Yeah, I don't think they played him. Like just say if it was a big game, he would have got like usually about 70 minutes. I don't think he played less. I think he played like 54 minutes. So still got 180 metres. Like he's I think 27 tackles, no misses, like 95% effective tackles. Like I can't believe how good that kid is. He's the best prop in the world. 2 points. Jared Warrior-Hargraves, just because he was outstanding. His leadership, when he's on, they're on.
Yeah.
He holds so much energy in that team. The meters he was making, but they were real tough meters, you know what I mean? Like he was going at it. And Parramatta are good. Like they are good. They got a good pack and they were going at it. Junior Paulo, Campbell Gillard, Big Papali'i. They got big boys. And Hargraves was the best forward on there. 3 points was my boy Josh Papali'i. He was just an absolute animal. He's going back to some of his best form. I think he started the year off a little bit slow compared to what he's usually like. So 3 points to him. He was outstanding. I was close to 200 metres. Him and Joey Tapane are just absolutely killing people. My whole game plan, if I'm playing against Canberra, is like stop those two. You stop those two, you win the game. But good luck. Anyway. Leadership board, Campbell Gillard, Talakai, Junior Paulo, all on 8 points. Taumalolo, Payne Haas, 6, and Aiden Fanua-Blake on 4. So keep ripping in, big boys.
Last week on the bet, I missed out on one leg. What did I miss out on? I can't remember what it was.
I don't know, you were filthy, but...
Was
it
filthy.
Titans?
It was the Dragons.
Dragons.
That's why I just said it was a bludger of a game.
Yeah,
I think.
you hated it.
You hate it for a reason.
Agenda.
Agenda. I hated that game, and I hate the Dragons now, and I hope that they all get sacked, all of them. So this week I have got the Sharks to bounce back and cover the 6.5. I have got the Roosters to give the Panthers a real run for money with an extra 9.5, and I've taken the Storm 1-12 because I think they will only just get over the top of the Cowboys. And that's
pretty good.
Is paying $10.10.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good bet.
What have I got? Knights, Ruben Garrick, anytime try scorer, and the Dragons.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Producer, Bulldogs, Storm, Roosters. He's just there's no thought. There's no I just think he's just ticking. He's just going like waking up.
He's got a dartboard. Yours is paying $7.60 and the producer's paying $10. We've got $700 in the kitty, which is nice.
If we get this one,
if we get ours up, then because that's
not
$1,500.
bad. Bulldogs,
We're back.
Storm, and Roosters, they can win. The producer could get this up.
Maybe.
I hope. I just hope because
it's
been very basic. His picks. There's not like the start and anything like that, so I don't mind that because you just look at the wins and losses. I need to start adding some more anytime try scorers like last year.
27 legs.
Fucking 50 legs. And Bobby's been close.
There we go.
Anyway, my
Tips,
I've got
William.
the Broncos, Bulldogs, Eels, Dragons, Cowboys. I'm changing it to.
Yeah.
Panthers, Raiders, Sharks.
Yep. And so you're changing South to the Raiders?
Yep.
All right, that's good. I'm making sure so that we're keeping you accountable for that. I've done the same mostly, have I? Broncos. No, I bet the Tigers. Good luck. So I'm in front. That's all that matters. I'm
Who's
in
the
front.
producer guy?
No, do you know what? The producer's not doing it anymore. Henry's doing it. If
So
he
Henry's
beats
got
me,
Broncos, Tigers, Eels, Warriors. Oh, he's a Warriors fan.
he's a Warriors fan.
Storm, Panthers, Rabbits, and Sharks.
Now,
Twitter questions. We got any?
Yeah, I've got Twitter. I've got a few Twitter questions. I'm going to start with probably the greatest Twitter question that I've ever. Anton Poser. I think he's a Kiwi, this bloke, but he's my new favourite. Ready, William?
Yeah.
This is the big hitting questions that we get on this show. If Donald is a duck, Mickey is a mouse, and Pluto is a dog, then what is Goofy? He can't be a dog because otherwise Pluto could drive a car and talk too. So if Pluto is a dog, and Goofy's a dog, why can Pluto drive a car?
Fucks me. This is like
It's a serious question.
It's a proper question.
It's a proper question. And there's been a few people answering. So
What is the general consensus? What is Zig, Henry, anything?
well, some bloke, Priesty reckons he's an anthropomorphic dog, whereas Pluto's are just a dog. Ruggy reckons he's a cow. Some other bloke reckons he's a dwarf dog. And so, yeah.
What are you smoking, son?
One wears a top hat and drives a car, and the other one's nude and sleeps in a kennel.
Stop taking psychedelics.
It's a fair question.
It's a good one.
I'm going to say he's definitely a dog. He's just not a smarter dog.
I'm done.
Goofy.
You lost me. Fucking.
I couldn't wait to read that out.
Give me some more questions.
All right. So Jack Hetherington, Reddy's asked to talk to other clubs. Would you let him go?
I wouldn't personally let him go. I think Jack's just been hindered by injuries this year. I thought he was going to have a great breakout year, start every single game. He epitomises what a Bulldog should be: aggressive, tough, hard-nosed, trains hard, fit as hell. I wouldn't be letting him go. And if he's going to be a big pickup for someone else, imagine if he went down to Melbourne.
Oh yeah,
He'd play for Australia.
Yeah,
that's the sort of talent Jack's got. He just needs to be nurtured the right way. And it's not like everyone's going, he's going to suspend it every single week. He got a clean slate this year, and he didn't get suspended.
Yeah.
So shut up. He did have a bad record. I get it, but clean slate. Everyone's got a clean slate this year. So stop worrying about what he did for the last 2 years. So, me personally, I would have him as a Bulldog.
What is your favourite rivalry in the NRL and in other sports?
Oh well,
Bulldogs Tigers now.
Bulldogs and Tigers. Bulldogs and Roosters used to be my favourite when I was playing.
Yeah.
Now, in the NRL, I think it's Souths and Roosters. That's always been a good one, especially because they've been top 4 teams for the last, 10 years, I suppose. Celtics and Lakers.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good rivalry. That's probably the biggest one. Have you seen that one? Have you seen the one on 30 for 30, the Celtics and the Lakers, Zig?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise it went that far back. They hate each other. That's a great doco. What else we got?
NRL Fans United, he's always a big fan of the show. He wants to know what every Bulldog fan wants to know: when will the pain end? Well, we kind of covered that.
Yeah, I just think, they'd be probably sick of us hearing, be patient. I just think, just stick with us this year. I just think Mick Potter's there. He understands the Bulldog culture. It's up to him to galvanise these young kids, and it's up to the players to take ownership and just be accountable for their own actions and their performances. So I just think, bit of a change. They can just get out there, rip in. They've got nothing to lose. The season's not over. You have 16 games to go. So if we get it right. If we win 10 out of 16,
yeah, you're
going to be in the mix.
And Annette's just actually come in while we're here and said one is a pet dog and the other's not. So there we go.
Wow.
We've answered it for Goofy. All right, well, that's the end. That's the end of the show. We need you
Get on the website. What is it again?
masonstake.com. You know what? I had to look down at what it was.
I looked down then.
It's masonstake.com.
Twitter. I didn't tweet that much on the weekend because I was Magic Round and
You were magical. He was being magical.
So I'll be home all weekend tweeting. So
and rate and review. What's that on? What's that even mean?
Rate review.
I don't know. Do it, bud.
So good. All right, later, Rose.
They'll be following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL is Willie Mason.
I've forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
You've been listening to The Take with Willie Mason and co-host Ian Byrne. Produced by Craig Trewick, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker of Green Room Sydney, and presented by the Handshake Media Network.